In a lot of 2D games, the play space is cut up into smaller parts. They're called tiles. We actually see an example right here. And here. And here. And here also. So tiles are very useful when it comes to world building. And that's because they sit on grids called tile maps. Those grids actually help to organize the tiles, but also it helps with performance. Throughout Ranger's development, I have been using tiles and tile maps. But today, it's finally time to see how far we can push Unity's built-in tile system. I started off simplifying the tiles so that I could focus more on the 3 functions I wanted each tile to perform. They were animate, respond, and variate. Variate? Tiles are meant to build environments and landscapes. They're really the play space of a game. But a lot of times tiles are static and they lack character. I mean, just look around you and you'll see plenty of motion and movement in our real life play space. Unity has a built-in animated tile. So after a bit of tinkering and some support from my live stream chat, our tiles were animated. Let's go to default brush. Okay, but will it still animate? Let's see. Yes. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So pretty much you create an animated tile and then you drag it into the tile palette. Once you do that, then everything works. So now for respond. What does that even mean? Well, it means that as events and things take place inside the game, the tiles will change based off of those events as a response to those events. So let's say that it starts snowing. Well, the tiles will know that it's snowing and they'll change into a snowy variant themselves. Or maybe there's an explosion and they'll show the damage and blast marks. They're close enough to the explosion point. The only way I know to pull this off is by using prefab tiles that are built into Unity. But I can't imagine having thousands of game objects for the environment being a good thing for performance. So there has to be a better way. Well, I can't really say much in the way of performance because I haven't really compared. But I was able to find a way to change the tile itself through a script using the set tile function. The great thing about this is that the animated tiles that we modified earlier are still considered just normal tiles, which means that we can plug in animated tiles to this function and call it a day. Adding variety is not as difficult as it sounds. Now that we have a method of replacing tiles, we can just add variety to the responses of those tiles. Great. But we can actually go one step further. We can use the built-in rule tiles to create variation from the very beginning of the level design process. This way, our tiles don't have to wait for an event to respond to show variation. Instead, they start off varied. You saw that. We did it. We did it! We did it! Okay, it's working perfectly. It's randomly selecting between the 2 options. Alright, so now for some things that we're still having problems with. Since the grid size and tile size aren't the same, we have to actually find the specific grid that has the tile in it to be able to change the tile through the script. You can see if I move on this side of the tile, nothing changes. But when I change sides, it changes the tile. And that's because the grid with the tile is on this side. Another thing in the same vein is that auto tiling doesn't really work because it's based on the grid size and not the individual tile size. So if I try to hold down the brush and draw the tile, you can see the tiles overlap. The way I see it is that I need to figure out a way for each grid cell to take the size and shape of the tile that's in it. If that happens, then auto tiling should work great, and tiles should be much more responsive because it will be dealing with tile size instead of individual grid cells. So if you guys have any ideas on how to fix this, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm going to be revisiting this tile system in a future devlog right before we actually start putting in the finished sprites, so that we can actually fix these issues, but also polish it up, make sure everything is running the way it should be. Okay, so I have a few more updates before you go. The smooth pixel camera no longer needs an offset, a player probe, or any sort of dynamic probe. I realized that it's better to resize the plane with the render texture on it to the game camera size and have the player camera follow the player instead of some player probe. The TLDR is that I superimposed the render texture over the scene view and now they work as one. I don't know why I didn't think of that earlier. It would have saved me a whole bunch of time. So now that we changed the way the tiles work, the ledge hang and ledge climb were broken, so I had to fix those, and they're working great now. And the last thing is that I'm finally composing some music for Ranger, and I'm planning on having a music-focused devlog in the coming months. But that's all I have for right now, so thank you to everybody who's been watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Oh, I almost forgot to mention, I am now streaming Ranger's development every single Monday morning from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. So swing by, say hi, we can talk about game dev, we can have a good time. So yeah, all right, bye.